Hello, today it's my privilege to interview Colonel Jannie de Lange, who is a detective that has been working with me almost from the beginning. And we were quite privileged to work together in serial killer cases. And later, when I resigned from the police, then Jannie worked with Brigadier Gerald Labuskaghni in the investigative psychology unit. So he's fully trained, very experienced detective. Now, sometimes it happens that we cannot solve all our cases, which is sad. But I remember we investigated a case in Cape Town of the prostitute serial killer in Cape Town. And although we had a very good suspect and we eventually had the suspect in custody, we couldn't prosecute him because of lack of evidence. And Colonel Jannie here had a similar case that I very, very interesting case that I'd like him to tell us about.
Yes, it was 1999 when there was three cases which was reported to the police about prostitutes was murdered in Pretoria West, and then I was instructed by the general to take over the investigations. So we started with three cases, and we open an ops room, starting to investigating from the beginning, go back from the beginning, do all the investigations, interview all the witnesses. So then we established that they were murdered. It was prostitute that was murdered by somebody in Pretoria West. All the girls work in Church Street. So we started investigating and call all the prostitutes to the police station, taking the DNA, taking the profiles of all the girls, took the DNAs of them, took their fingerprints.
We did that in Cape Town too.
Oh.
Yeah, they all stood in a queue and we had their fingerprints taken and we had their photographs taken. It was big fun for them, but very serious for us. So you did similar.
We did the same, yes. And so we made files of all the girls that we know who they are, and we interview them, ask them, listen here, don't stand on the streets, don't take your clients to the streets or to the park. You must use your houses if you want to do it. Because all the girls that was found murdered was inside Pretoria West, like it was a fountains, we call it the fountains. It was a barbecue place where the people who went through during the days of
we
barbecue.
Police barbecue.
Barbecues there.
Yes.
So, and during this, one of this interviews I have with the prostitutes and their pimps, I gave out my business cards to all of them and tell them, listen, if you see something, call me. If you know something that can help us with the investigations. So then we started to took DNA from most of the people, most of the men in Pretoria West.
Did they complain?
No, most of them just gave it to us freely.
Must have been thousands.
It was thousands we took of them. So then we found there was information that we received from when the one girl that was found murdered in the veld. The witness came forward and said, listen here, but myself and my family have a barbecue there, and we saw this white truck with a black frame on it, like a farmer, came in with a girl, but he went into the bush, and later that same day, he came back, but we didn't see the girl. And then he saw the newspapers that we found a body there. So he suspected that maybe that guy was. So I draw that, compile an ID of the truck and send it to all the newspapers to find information of anybody, maybe a farmer. So we follow that up, but nothing came from it. And it was frustrating for us and for myself. We were a whole team at working on this case. And then in 2001, we found another girl was found.
So how many had you had by now, before the last one? Tell us about those crime scenes that's up to that point.
It was first the one girl that was found inside the barbecue area, and she was strangled. What's particular on this case, there was some like with us guy was make a fire between the legs, but a small, it's not a big, it's like just a small wood that was placed between her legs.
So okay, so between her legs,
yes,
there was a little, like with tinder, just
yes,
a little. It's very ritualistic,
yes.
Ritual behavior.
And then because we took the canine dogs from the dog unit and asked them to go through all the veld to find more evidence, we found a skeleton of a female that we sent to forensics to build her up, and you can see who she was.
Yeah.
We never identified her, unfortunately. So that was, and then there was two girls found onto the road, Pretoria West. It's not on the barbecue ice. It's over the street, more in Pretoria West.
The vicinity.
And there's a street that went to the old fort was
yes.
there. And the hospital is also there.
Yes.
For the people was there.
Leprosy, yeah.
Yes. So on the street, these two girls were found early in the morning, but it looks like that they were thrown from the car because they got marks on the skeletons. So it looks like somebody was drive there and just pushed them out of the car.
Okay.
So we found these two fresh bodies, both strangled just next to the street. And then the last case was again, we found this girl. She was posed because she was standing on her hands, on her elbows. Her bum was in the air. So we done this. Of course, it was a fresh case. We done it crime scene very quickly. Done all the people we must do. All the people, the pathologists, crime scene management, forensic was on the scene. We done everything like in the book. And then we see that something is in the private parts. That we just put it in a bag to go to forensic to promote the postmortem. So the same that day, afternoon, we done the postmortem to see what is inside there. And that was when they found my business card.
Your business card was in the private parts.
In the private parts. It was rolled up.
I cannot imagine if that would have happened to me.
Terrible. It was rolled up, and like some of the hair was found, and it was like it was string around my business card and was stuck into the private parts.
What went on in your mind?
It was, everybody was standing there, and it was, and the doctor said, "But listen here, here's something in it," and you open it, and when you open it, I shout, "But it's my business card."
And can you remember giving it to her?
Yes. When we interviewed a boyfriend, he said, but she was sitting, when we interviewed all the prostitutes in the police station, she was sitting next to me. And I handed my business cards to every one of them. And she took my business card and put it inside her handbag. We never found the handbag. Handbag is still
this is like a personal challenge.
It was and there's one of the cases that I never solved, and it stays with me for all those years.
But then at the mortuary, you got some DNA at least. You know, what happened then?
We found DNA, but on this 4 cases, what the bad thing is, the first case, DNA matched with the case on the street. The skeleton was no DNA found. And then the last case, DNA was found, but the DNA different from the DNA on the other 2 cases.
Somebody would think then, do we have 2 suspects? But we actually know better because...
Unfortunately, it's prostitutes.
There will be DNA.
Unfortunately, yes. It's not to say that there's another new guy, but it's most probably it's a client's DNA. But we never match it. What the strange thing is, after all the hundreds of people we took, we got those days, we got a settled DNA team at forensics, but only working on our cases. And we ran it through all our databases and nothing. Till today, it never
matches.
Never matches. Not the 2 DNA also. It's the 2 different cases. No DNA match.
Did you have any more victims after that?
No, it stopped. After the case stopped. But also, because of all the murders, the prostitutes stopped going to the streets. They all went back to their houses, and so there's nobody. From that days off, no girl was found on the streets.
And you had lots of patrols.
Lots of patrols. We patrols more. If you see a car that's strange in Pretoria, it was stopped. Fingerprint, DNA was taken, and no information received from the public. Nothing from all the surveillance we done. Hours and hours surveillance we done during the day, during night, during weekends. Nothing.
Yeah, that's very frustrating. This is personal.
That's personal.
And I remember quite a few cases now. I think in the Cape Town case as well, we had a good suspect, but as I said, there was just not enough evidence. And I think people don't always realize when you investigate a case, it's not confession driven. It is evidence driven.
It's evidence driven.
The court is looking for evidence. Just a suspicion is just not enough.
That's not enough.
Yeah.
No, what's frustrating in this case is there was nothing. There was no one that we can say, listen, maybe it's him. It was not. It was literally nothing.
Not the boyfriend of the girl,
Nothing. The
nobody
boyfriend
matched.
was eliminated pretty quickly. His alibi was there because he was looking after the children.
Mm.
We went back to her house. We done her house. We check everything. We check for ex-boyfriends. Nothing.
So this was such a thorough investigation, because I know you couldn't do it any other way because you're really trained.
Mhm.
And if you think of the state funds spent on it,
Oh.
you know, the hours going into it, and this is the thing. Sometimes it's hours and hours that we work,
Mm.
you know, and state funds and etc. And you can't solve it. There's just this missing piece.
Yeah, that's just it. And it's what was it was files on this case, because every guy that we suspect or that was driving on the street, we took his DNA, we took his whole profile, we checked his where he was at the day when the murder was happened, and eventually, because of all these years, I took the dockets to the court to do the
The non-prosecute, yeah.
not the non-prosecute, the inquest.
Yes.
Because in South Africa, we must do an inquest on all unsolved cases.
Mm.
So the dockets were taken to the prosecutors. Inquest was done, and it was closed as unsolved. Well, it wasn't closed. It was the
A murder case is never closed.
yes,
So it was just,
the post-mortem of the post-mortem reports were done at court, but stating that it still must be investigating.
well, the only, I don't know, thing that can make you sort of feel better is the fact that his DNA is in the system. So
That's one thing. Yes,
it should.
It should.
Yeah.
Now, I was, until I retired, we still asked him, listen, didn't you find anything?
Yeah.
And in our forensics are so good. If it matches, it's not some public or some memory that must match it. It's the computer, the database
Yes,
will match it.
Yeah. Something that's interesting to me, both you and I have sort of an interest in the back of our mind. You know, there was a South African man called Brian Smith, arrested in Alaska not too long ago, who killed prostitutes. Although his modus operandi is a little bit difficult and different, because he killed them inside. This one was outside. And your guy had a little bit of ritual, etc.
Right.
But there's always the question, you know, because you know your suspect was white due to the DNA, that could it have been Brian? You know, and then, but the FBI, you were in contact with them. What was the?
No, the FBI contacted us and asked us, listen, they got this South African guy was arrested in Alaska for minutes. We asked him, give us his DNA. But when I retired, we were still waiting for them to give us his DNA, because if it was DNA, we can just run it through the database and we can see this match somewhere.
So hopefully the Alaska police will contact the South African police and send them the DNA. We can have this solved, and Jannie can have peace for his soul.
Oh, yes.
Okay. So thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next week. Thank you very much, Jannie.
Pleasure.